Hi, my name is Louise.
And hi, I'm Emma.
And you're listening to Murder or Myth,
the true crime podcast where not everything is true.
The aim of the game is to find out whether the story is actually a murder or if it's just a myth.
Now, let's get started.
Hi Emma, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So in this week's episode, I'm going to be telling Emma a bit of a Christmas-related story as we are now well into December.
Intriguing.
So the year is 2008 and the location is Covina, which is a city in California.
California, interesting.
On the 24th of December, the Ortega family were hosting a Christmas party with many of their relatives. Parents Alicia and Joseph had invited many family and friends to their house and were enjoying games and a festive meal. It was said that around 25 to 30 relatives and family friends were there outside of the residence of the house.
Okay.
So the family consisted of the two parents, their 5 children, their kids' partners, and a number of grandchildren.
So like an extended family.
So kind of an extended family gathering. They were just after eating dinner and had gone about kind of doing different activities themselves when they heard a knock on the door. One of the grandkids answered the door, an 8-year-old girl, and called out, "Santa Claus, Santa Claus." A man dressed as Santa was seen as the door opened, and he shot at the girl immediately. He then walked into the house and started to shoot into the dining room where many of the party guests were. The parents, one of the daughters-in-law, and 2 of their daughters were sitting at the dining table playing board games and all hid under the table. However, it did not save them, and they were all shot at and sadly passed away. The Ortegas had 2 sons, Charles and James, who both recognized the man and called out his name, Bruce, before they were both shot.
Okay.
They were struggling to get up and stop him, but they eventually died. Bruce Pardo had been married to one of the Ortega's daughters, Sylvia, and she had recently filed for divorce, this being his motive for the murders. One of the grandsons was playing video games upstairs and had also lost his life during the massacre as Bruce had set the house on fire with 2 tanks he had fused together to create an explosive device.
Tanks? Like...
of fuel.
Oh, okay. Like gas tanks or...
Yes.
Okay.
And the house eventually burned to the ground completely.
Damn.
A number of members of the party hid or ran out the door and survived, including Leticia, who was the only Ortega child to survive. It was her daughter who was shot at first after opening the door, and she also managed to survive despite taking a shot to the face.
Oh, Jesus.
Bruce had purchased a plane ticket to Illinois, and so it was assumed he had planned to flee the state. However, he was badly burned during the fire and obtained 2nd and 3rd degree burns. Bruce instead drove 40 miles to his brother's house in San Fernando Valley, where he committed suicide with a gunshot to the mouth. And that's the end of my story. Maybe that was kind of on the shorter side, was it?
Kind of, but...
How long was this speaking
lots
for?
of details. About, give or take, 3 minutes.
Oh, jeez. Okay. It's kind of short.
It's okay. It's a short and not sweet one. Very
True.
harrowing story.
Mm.
Lots in there. Lots of detail. Not going to drag this one out. I know it's a murder story.
Fuck. How?
Unfortunately.
You heard of it?
Yeah, in fact, I'd literally seen it like a while ago when we were looking up our stories.
I think we should stop doing the theme.
Yeah, when you said Covina, I was like, I was like, well, I've heard of that. And then when you said that the little girl opened the door
You had
to
heard
Santa
of it.
Claus.
You hadn't heard of it from your podcast?
Vaguely, I remember I'd heard of it previously, but I'd never known it in detail. But I know I literally looked at it like 2 hours ago for some reason.
Because did you look up Christmas? I think maybe we're going to have to stop doing the theme ones.
I think
because
so.
that
But
happened with
also,
Halloween.
Was it a very... Like, if it was any in the top 5 that came up, I would have just quickly looked at all of them.
Yeah, fair.
For
I don't know if it was in the top
inspiration,
5,
if
but I clicked into an
anything.
article and it just had like 12
Yeah. Fair enough.
Christmas-related stories.
Inspiration, that sounds bad, but just like...
Yeah,
You
I know
know.
what you mean.
thematically
Yeah.
for Christmas. Yeah, it's a very awful story.
I also was wondering why you asked no questions during it, so obviously...
I was trying to think of how to interact in that and not give it away.
Fair.
So
So it's like, I'm really speeding through this. Like, there's no discussion at all. But yeah.
again, even if
Okay.
it was a myth, it's like, what questions could I ask? It
I
was
mean,
just a
I feel
bunch
like you
of
just get
people
picked
got
up on details
died.
if you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, but...
Like, you said 2 tanks of what? And I don't know. The thing just said tanks.
yeah, that was my
Just
question.
assumed
I was
fuel.
like, let me...
Fuel. But yeah. So you would have questions. If you were trying to figure it out, you would have questions. But
Yeah,
when you're
okay.
not, you don't, I feel like.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, it's easy in retrospect when you know it, but it's you
Yeah.
hardly ever know it.
Okay. Well, I guess that's the end of the episode. There's
I
not much
guess.
more to say. This is going to be a short one. Thanks for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe.
On this week's episode, I figured out Louise's story was in fact a murder.
Find us on all streaming platforms.
And join us next week for another thrilling adventure.
Remember, it's myth until proven murder. Slay.